ask yourself the damn question. Is winning the only thing to you?
Sports today are not just played on the field. They're played every day, online, all over the world, by sports fans just like you.
Don't you dare breathe. That won't get you anywhere. If you don't think you're a winner, you don't belong here.
The Star Fantasy League Show puts you in control of your own team. Find out who to sit, who to start, how to play, and have your daily fantasy sports questions answered with your host, Jonathan Sprung, and co-host SFL CEO Zach Stanley and Nick Steblenko. The Star Fantasy League Show is on the air now.
Hello and welcome to the Star Fantasy League Show here on 105.5 The Team in Rochester. I am your host, Jonathan Sprung, joined, as always, by Teddy Bear to himself, Nick Steblenko.
That's this guy sitting across.
Well, at least things are back to normal.
Yeah, things are back to normal. I'm introducing Nick first because Zach was not here yesterday. Footer filled in quite nicely, I must say, but the band's back together. He didn't get fired yesterday. He managed to make it through one show.
Hey, that's good enough.
Friday, I'll be honest, Friday, Seth and I fired him a couple times.
Did he talk?
Yeah. Jason wasn't on the show. I said Footer. God. He knows how to use the microphone. He puts it in his mouth.
Sometimes Footer likes to just sit there and, do whatever he's doing.
That's
whatever he's doing.
That's why we're glad to have you
Thinking
guys.
of something to say.
We're glad to have the family back. It's nice to all be gathered here.
I think he did a pretty good job. He actually managed the show pretty well. He made one or two mistakes here or there.
So Alex
Smith?
But
I would say comparably threw for about 300 yards.
Oh my God, he's going to get into this right away.
Did you get any feedback on the Would You Rather on Friday? How did that go?
What do you mean?
I mean, did Seth or Matt win?
I think the jury's still out on that, mainly because I didn't want to go back and actually check to see who won.
So it was a collective loss? Is that what it was?
Sure, we'll go with that. Just everybody lost. Somehow D'Angelo Williams won. I don't really know how things happen on that.
Yeah, actually he did win somehow.
Yeah, for everyone else on the team getting
exactly
broken in half. Yeah, that actually did happen.
Yep.
All right, today on the Star Fantasy League Show, we are recapping the Monday Night Football game because it was an interesting one, and I think Nick and I are going to have quite a few arguments about it. Not just yet.
Okay.
Hold off. Just wait. We're also going to talk about something to do with that Roger Robot guy. What's his name? Robot Goodell?
Actually, I like that. That's good. He really is like a robot.
It's Robot Goodell.
Robot Goodell.
Is that original? Did I just make that up, or did somebody else say that?
We have some things that we need to fix, and we're going to look at them and fix them.
Did you see the John Oliver little excerpt that he had?
Oh, yeah.
No, I didn't.
It was amazing.
Absolutely fit. Yeah, I love that show. He does a great job. He is great.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to get to it, but
really
it
tackles the issues.
We're obviously going to have John Old's mailbag as well in the middle of the show, and at the end, we're going to have waiver wire because it's Tuesday, and during the NFL season, Tuesday is always waiver wire.
Yeah, not as bad as last week, but there's definitely still some savvy moves that you can make out there.
Yeah, I think the waiver wire issue this week is going to be the fact that people are starting to be on buys now.
Yeah, and we're definitely going to talk about some fun stuff to do with fantasy leagues that we may or may not be involved in and trades that may or may not have ruined our season.
Boo.
Yep. I think Nick's on the receiving end of one
Actually,
of those.
that didn't really ruin my season. It was just kind of a slap in the face.
Unfortunate.
It was an unfortunate slap in the face.
It's an unfortunate situation. All right, let's get right to the top of the show. We're recapping the Monday Night Football debacle. I really honestly thought that the New York Jets had a chance to win that game several times, but one thing got in the way of winning that game.
Is that how we're describing this, a debacle?
That's
how you're going to start off?
I
know exactly where you're trying to lead this,
yeah?
but that's just ill-advised and not very smart.
Why? Okay, the whole point of this argument is we're going to have it out about Geno Smith because I honestly thought any other quarterback, I'm not going to say any other quarterback,
that's great.
A capable quarterback who makes at least decent football decisions would have won that game.
Okay. John wasn't watching the game
I watched
night, so I'm going to fill everybody in on this.
I watched every play of that game.
Geno Smith actually looked great last night. He made one bad throw. The first interception wasn't even his fault. If you look at that tape, go back and tell me where Chris Johnson makes an attempt at catching that pass. Okay,
He's not even close to the ball.
Exactly. That's exactly the point.
How is he supposed to make an attempt to catch the pass if he's not even close to the ball?
He could have done something other than what he did. He flailed his arms around.
That play was a dead play. There was no way he should have thrown that ball.
Okay, fine. I'll give that to you. That's fine.
Okay,
the second
there you go.
one,
there you go.
Shut up and let me talk.
Shouldn't have thrown the
ball. The second one was a big mistake. That was a terrible throw. But other than that, are you really going to sit there and honestly tell me that you thought Geno Smith, who threw for 300 yards last night, actually did a bad job? The Jets actually outgained the Bears, and I thought that they controlled this game from the very start other than the interception that he threw within the first 30 seconds. Other than that, I really thought that their biggest issue was being able to score when they got in the red zone. They couldn't figure out a way to get in that end zone. I thought they needed to run the ball a little bit more when they got down there. Chris Ivory was definitely okay last night.
What do you mean what about in general, though? They only rushed the ball 26 times. Going into the game, they were number 1 overall. Coming out, they're still second. 4.4 yards per carry for 114 yards. If you're running the ball that well, why do you shy away? Your number 1 receiver didn't play for, 3/4 of that game.
They went down 14-0 really quickly, and the thing that started getting them back into this game
was running.
Because they started going into a no huddle, a little bit quicker tempo. They picked it up, and then they started throwing the ball a little bit more. I saw a quarterback that actually had the confidence to make throws that he didn't last year. I thought he was a little bit smarter with the football, and he was pretty good at avoiding pressure. I'm pretty sure he only got sacked twice last night.
I think it was 3.
Okay, 3.
Yeah,
he was
3.
sacked 3 times last night. I thought he did a pretty good job overall, especially considering his number 1 option was out after 14 plays.
But
There we go. I was waiting for the butt.
the Bears also had nobody in the secondary that they would have had at the beginning of the year.
Kyle Fuller doesn't exist.
Were they even remotely healthy?
Okay, and their secondary stunk to begin, so
number 1,
really matter.
he had no business making the first throw, which cost them a touchdown. And then the one that he threw that was actually attempt just outside of the red zone for the end zone cost them points again. He lost in this game by making those mistakes.
Disagree. I completely disagree.
How could you said
I completely disagree. I can't even understand how you think he lost them this game. He actually gave them a chance to win.
No.
I thought he made a slew of bad throws and questionable decisions.
All right. Well, I just don't agree with that. And the people that are calling for his head after week 3, especially after what we've seen out of him this season, you're all crazy. Every single one.
We all know that this guy is athletically capable. What everybody is looking for is him eliminating those crucial mistakes, not jumping off of 2 feet and throwing the ball with no mustard on it towards the end zone for an easy interception.
I really honestly think that was the one bad throw he made.
That was one of the worst throws I've ever seen.
Great. Then you weren't watching the Buffalo game on Sunday. Because E.J. Manuel was terrible.
Did E.J. Manuel throw an interception?
He was terrible.
Did he throw a crucial interception?
At least Geno Smith gave them an opportunity to win that game.
I think
he drove them down the field
defensive
multiple
line
times.
gave them an opportunity to win the game by not allowing Matt Forte to get over 35 yards.
Okay. The Jets, across the board, the numbers are better. 21 first downs to 17. They clearly moved the ball better. They had more plays. They had more yardage. They had more yards per play. They outgained the Bears in every facet of the game.
But you can't put them up against each other because the Bears' defense is horrible. The Jets' defense is one of the best. They're number 1 or number 2 overall going through 2 weeks. You can't say,
And the Bears' offense is one of the best in the league, or it's supposed to be one of the best in the league.
They were without Marshall last night. Forte could not get anything going. That run defense is going to be one of the best in the league.
I would like to know what is your solution for the Jets for this season?
I don't have one.
I'm gonna,
Nobody does,
okay,
and everybody's got it. Everybody has to go ahead and throw him right under the bus.
No.
Nobody has an option here.
I'm a hater. I'm not a hater. I'm not a supporter of Geno Smith, but I'm okay with continuing on this path. He needs to cut down on these weird decisions. Why is he throwing off 1 foot to a guy that's triple covered when you're in the red zone down 1 score? What is the point of even throw it away? Run. Just do anything other than what you did.
I thought for the most part he did do that last night. I don't know why he made that throw. That was a bad throw. The biggest question
is why couldn't they get in the end zone?
That is an issue for that team to solve. They need to run the ball when they get down there.
You have 3 bruising backs. You can't get in the end zone.
And they need somebody that's a big-bodied receiver like Jay Samaro, who they drafted, who we haven't seen anything good from except for maybe a little bit last night.
I think John Gruden kept talking about the big play, big receiver that just isn't
there. Exactly. How about the throw to Curley? The touchdown pass to Curley. Do you really think that was a bad throw? That was a tough pass to make.
I'm not saying that he doesn't show flashes of ability. I'm saying that when you get in these type of situations, you cannot make those crucial mistakes. This is a team that is based off trying to run the ball and trying to perform solidly on defense. And you have a flashy quarterback that makes crucial mistakes throughout the game, and that's what they're looking to eliminate. We all see the talent. We all see that he's capable.
No, apparently not everyone sees it because they all, like you said, they're calling for his head.
Exactly. In New York, they're calling for his head already.
I'm not calling for his head. Number one, there isn't even another option.
Nick, yeah, that's true. Nick, you just said it. In New York, they're calling for his head. It's New York. They overreact to everything.
I agree. I think it's ridiculous, and I think that the people that are critical of him, they don't see that he is making progress.
They're schlubs. They're schlubs. The people who are calling, well, he looked bad. Okay. That's what they think.
I think that he made mistakes, and I think there's a ton of room for improvement. But to say that he hasn't made any positive steps from last year is asinine, in my opinion. I just don't think that's even right. I don't think that's close to right. I don't think that's a fair assessment of him as a quarterback. And I really would like to know, if you're calling for his head right now, what's your option? What would you like to see? Would you like to see Michael Vick run around like a chicken with his head cut off back there?
All right, you know what? That is a good point to move on from. Tweet us at SFL Show if you actually have a solution for the 2014-15 New York Jets on what they should do with Geno Vick or what's his name? Mike
go.
Smith?
Sure.
No? Why do people – yeah, seriously. Anybody calling for Mike Vick right now has no idea what football is. No idea.
I love what Mike Vick's doing for that team.
I
really do.
He's
very supportive. He's a very good backup to Geno Smith, and he's been he's shown a lot of confidence in a young quarterback. I like what he's doing.
What he should be doing at this point in his career. He's injury prone as anything.
I wonder how many actual good points that he has to give on a quarterback that needs to start eliminating mistakes.
Yeah, that is very true. Hey, I saw
I
that.
don't think it has to do with that.
Like
I don't think it has to do with that. I think it has to do with confidence. I think if you have confidence stepping into a situation like Geno Smith is in right now, then you'll be much more successful than if somebody's behind you not giving you any support whatsoever.
I'm just saying that he can't throw the ball into a 4-person coverage on Chris Johnson.
I agree. And Chris Johnson. Oh, you mean the first one?
It was a dead play.
I
There were four guys around him, and then he didn't even throw it to where he was.
Yeah, can we please see at least a little bit of the positives here in this game, and the fact that the Jets shouldn't be in the same class as Chicago. I think Chicago's a pretty damn. I mean,
it shouldn't be in the same class as Green Bay either, and they had a chance to win that game.
Yeah,
too.
all defensive issues aside for Green Bay and Chicago, New York actually looked like a decent football. Their defense is going to keep them in almost every. That's what you said yesterday. Their defense needs to keep them in the game, and they did.
And if Marty Mornhinweg doesn't call a timeout, an ill-advised timeout, they actually tie that game off of a beautiful pass from Geno Smith.
Oh my God.
He does have the talent. I'm just saying I think people are too critical of a second-year quarterback in this league, which has been my argument the entire season with Geno Smith.
I have a question.
I just don't understand how people think he's supposed to win a Super Bowl this year.
I think it's amazing how critical you are of Robert Griffin and you're rubbing this guy down relentlessly.
Because Robert Griffin isn't that good.
That's
like Geno Smith is already better than Robert Griffin.
Yes, fine. I'm saying it.
All right.
Yes. He's a better quarterback than Robert Griffin. I would take Geno Smith any day over Robert Griffin.
Healthy.
Every single time. Healthy. Okay. Don't care. Every time.
I don't even
Because he's going to get hurt in 10 seconds.
I am honestly not even sure what to do with the outro to this segment because I'm flabbergasted that you just said Geno Smith is better than Robert Griffin III. Wow. Coming back after the break, at least we're putting some sanity into the show by having a Donald's mailbag is coming. We're going to have some sane moments, I swear. And you'll listen to the Star Fantasy League show on 105.5 The Team.
The Star Fantasy League Show. Information is key to being a successful fantasy team owner, and the guys have all the updated info you need right now. Okay, fantasy sports fans.
There's a letter in your mailbox.
Time to dig into Donald's mailbag for your questions and comments.
Read the mail, read the mail, read the mail.
Jump in the game. Send your questions and comments to the Star Fantasy League's team by tweeting at SFL Show.
That is right. Tweet us at SFL Show if you could make something of that last segment that just happened.
Hit me up, Geno.
Yeah, I think
boy.
Geno Smith might be. He might have an open invitation to appear on this show if he dares.
Nick might be switching allegiance.
Yeah, I wanted to ask that in the last segment.
I don't really know what's going on here.
I'm just an objective.
A passionate Jets fan.
I'm just an objective sports journalist. That's all.
I don't. You might want to look up that word.
Really?
Don't we talk
based
about,
on my talk about the Green Bay Packers and their terrible defense this year?
I think he just said he wants to be best friends with Geno Smith, and then he goes, "I want to be objective about this."
Yeah, I do want to be best friends with a cool guy like Geno.
You're not supposed to
just
hang
a nice
out with
man.
that.
Yeah, that's.
He's just a nice person. Am I not supposed to hang out with
What
nice
are we
people?
going for his character now too, man? This is just like a glowing review of Geno Smith as a human being. Now.
Absolutely, good guy, that Geno.
He really likes what Michael Vick, the model citizen, is doing for Geno Smith.
Did I say model citizen? Did I even utter anything close to those words?
Yeah, I heard they go for walks together with their
Unbelievable.
dogs. They go for walks.
Unbelievable.
All right, we need to move on. It's time for Donald's mailbag, which means we are no longer. Oh, the first question's about Geno Smith.
Well, it should be.
No, it's really not. Of course it's not. All right, Carlos J. writes, several weeks after announcing his retirement from the NFL, James Harrison signed with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Can a return to the NFL help a depleted Steel Curtain defense? Man, I am so depressed.
Thanks a lot for writing in, Carlos, by the way. No, I really don't think this is going to do anything for them.
Yeah, no, I don't think you're going to take a guy that just literally just retired.
You know why he retired, right? Because nobody would sign him.
Exactly.
He had options.
No,
and
I mean
they didn't fall through.
It's just sorry. It's sad to see that the Steelers had so many injuries because this is a defense that was kind of trying to piece back its identity. So for them to lose their first-round draft pick and Ryan Shazier,
Well,
that was tough.
luckily they had good news today. He only has a very light sprained MCL.
That's
It
good.
said he might miss one game if that, just one.
That's good. I mean,
And it's against Tampa Bay, which luckily it could be the biggest dumpster fire in the NFL right now.
I think the most positive thing that's coming out of this is that a well-known Steeler is coming back to the Steelers franchise. He'll be able to retire with them. And
What do you mean we'll be able to? He already did it.
Okay,
He already retired
yeah,
with
they
it.
already
He
had the
signed,
whole
I'm
ceremony.
sorry. You're
he signed
right.
a one-day contract.
He'll have his last game with them.
Oh, actually, you know what? I kind of like that idea. I mean, let's be honest. You think he's really going to be playing? Although, let's be honest.
Yeah, I mean, I could see him at
He
least
was
playing a
he
little.
was a much less of a factor
The last couple
on
years.
Cincinnati than I think anybody had
Yeah.
expected.
Well, yeah. Do you think reuniting with the man who kind of made his career, Dick
I think
LeBeau, is going to
I
help
think
him?
that's the best possible thing that could come out of this is that James Harrison worked really well within this system and under Dick LeBeau, and that's going to make him at least reasonably capable of doing something to contribute to this team.
He's only 3 seasons removed from 10-plus sacks, which he had like 5 years in a row. So,
He's
I mean,
36.
Yeah,
I understand he's 36 years old, but I'm
The
sure
no-
he can do something for
the
this team.
nosedive was pretty obscene.
This
it
is
was
true.
Just
Well, to be fair, he
straight
was
down.
also fined more money than anybody in history, so maybe that had something to do with it.
Wasn't he the one that tweeted something nice and fun about Roger Goodell?
Yeah.
Not so fun when the
Yeah.
rabbit got the gun. Was that right?
Yeah, I think that was him, right? Yeah.
So
I'm excited.
I think it's a nice story, feel good, but it doesn't help the Steelers.
Yeah, this defense is in trouble. Ike Taylor, 6 to 8 weeks with a broken arm. Jarvis Jones, another rookie from last year who kind of underperformed. Dislocated wrist, went to IR with intentions of returning, possibly 8 weeks plus. This is just depressing. This defense this year, 18th overall. We haven't even played great offenses yet. We've played Cleveland, Carolina, not really that many pieces, and they had no running backs. And we played Baltimore.
Big win on Thursday, though. For
Huge
Pittsburgh.
win, yeah.
That was a statement, I
Yeah.
would say.
I mean,
Absolutely.
we're back. We don't have the defensive identity anymore, but we have the offensive identity back where they run the ball.
Are you talking about Sunday night?
Did you
Said
say we?
Thursday,
Did you
right?
say we?
I play for the team.
Yeah, he did say we.
Wow.
I play
did
for the
say
team. I'm not objective. Get the hell out of here.
Sunday
All
night?
right, well,
oh, yeah,
let's see.
Sunday
It was
night.
Sunday
Sorry.
night, yeah.
Against the Panthers? Yeah, that's a big one. That's
I
a
guess
statement
I
win.
just completely forgot about the whole Atlanta thing. I had to substitute a real game in there.
That might be true. But no, I mean, they're back to the number one rushing team in the league by far. It's them and the Jets. Their two rushing offenses are just – the line is finally together and healthy, which means tomorrow we're going to hear a report about Marquise Pouncey breaking something, I'm sure.
Okay,
That's how this works, isn't it?
that happens.
Oh, no, stop it. That doesn't happen. It's happened every season, apparently.
Yeah, well, it's happened to my Packers. So
Don't you remember when he missed the Super Bowl? Remember he got
Yes.
injured right before the Super Bowl?
Yes.
That's why you won.
No,
No?
no.
I guess I'm confused on how football. I thought the center was everything. No?
If there's any team that can suffer a slew of injuries like this and still be able to bounce back based on their system and their defensive coaching, it's the Steelers.
Yeah, Dick LeBeau doesn't even know these players' names anyways, so this actually doesn't hurt him at all. He just goes, you, in.
It's basically Troy and the boys, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's you, the guy with the hair. Go. Like, tackle him. He goes, all right, cool. I got it. I mean, come on. You really think Dick LeBeau knows all these guys' names at this point? He's like 85.
Yes, I do.
I do too.
Fine, whatever. I'm trying to have some fun with this, and you guys won't play along, so fine.
Why? We're having fun.
I'm moving on. David L. writes, the baseball season's coming to an end, and there are still plenty of races yet to be decided. Which race do you see coming down to the last week, and which is the most intriguing? That's a two-part question, David. You got to send us 2 different emails.
Are we coming down to the last game? Is that what we're saying?
I said, which race
Well,
do you
it is
think
the
is
last week.
Is it really?
Yeah, this is it.
Yep.
That shows you how much
Season
attention
ends on Sunday.
I've been paying to the MLB season.
Yep. Derek Jeter's last game is in Boston on Sunday.
Who?
If he plays.
That'd be great if they held him out the last game.
I think.
That'd be really funny. They're like,
No,
you're good.
I actually wouldn't be surprised if they did that because then they would make his last game on Thursday at Yankee Stadium instead of, sullying his name in Boston. I guess that would be the view.
Well, wouldn't it be cute to see Boston say goodbye?
It would be cute.
Saying
Thank you.
goodbye
I
by
appreciate it.
dumping buckets of just crap on
I
him.
think that's going to
I think the obvious choice for the closest race is Detroit and Kansas City. They've been going back and forth for the past 2 months.
Yeah, Zach,
So-
how you feeling?
Nervous.
Yeah?
Yeah, I was watching the game all last night, and I was just checking my phone as I was watching inning by inning. Tigers went down 2-0. Kansas City went up 2-0, and nothing changed. There's nothing worse than watching 9 innings of baseball and not seeing a run go on the board.
I thought you were going to say there's nothing worse than watching 9 innings of baseball. We actually talked about that on the show yesterday about speeding up the game and how monotonous and awful.
No, this is when
6-hour games are.
This is when baseball gets really exciting because every single pitch means the entire world to each of these teams. I think Detroit's got the line on clinching here because they have a homestand throughout the rest of the week. They get the White Sox and the Twins at home, while KC has to go on the road at Cleveland and the White Sox. So, obviously, the White Sox are going to play a major role in all of this, but I think that Detroit being at home is going to bode really well for them.
They definitely have the advantage. They are minus 300 tonight.
Really?
Yeah.
So
with Price pitching.
They think they're going to do pretty well in this game.
They better freaking win. There's no, to have it be such a big line and then have them lose, that's just the worst.
Yeah.
But I feel pretty good about it. They're at home all of these games as well. Cleveland's been playing some good ball, and in their mind, they're still fighting for a spot, even though I don't think they have any chance of getting it.
Why not? Let's move on a little bit to the AL wild card. There are basically 6 teams fighting for this wild card. Obviously, one of them is going to be the team that loses in the Central, but You really don't think that these fringe teams like Seattle, Cleveland, the Yankees, you don't think they have any shot? They're all within 4 games right now.
No, I mean with
the Yankees don't have a chance. There's 6 games left.
Yeah,
there's 5 games left.
With a week left, a lot of things need to happen for that to really fall into place.
I enjoy that Zach was actually counting out days of the week.
6 games left.
That was pretty fun.
The Mariners have a chance. Of course, they're only 2 games back.
Mm-hmm.
Indians, big loss last night to Kansas City. They could have been 1.5 back if they won last night. So, yeah, that's brutal for them. They really needed to get that win. Once you get into this situation where you only have 6 games left and you're 3.5 back, it's going to be really tough to get in.
Yeah, we've seen crazy things though, at the end of the season with these. I know we have the 1-game wild card, but even before we had that game, we saw things come down to the very last game of the season, especially when these big, high-pressure matchups are basically playoff games, right?
Yeah, definitely.
But the big advantage for Cleveland in this situation was that they had a series against the Royals. They had a chance to take some games off of them, and it doesn't look like they're going to end up doing that. Once they get past that situation, then things are pretty much out of their control.
I think the one thing I could see possibly happening, and this is going to be a little crazy.
Crazy, I love it.
But Seattle possibly leaping over Oakland. Oakland has to play the Angels right now. That's not a good situation.
Although they're pretty much done. Angels have.
The Angels locked it up.
Are they going for the 1 seed though? That might be
Well, okay, but yeah. So I just think if they still have that going, which looks like, I mean, they might have to clinch it over Baltimore. But
and then they go into Texas this weekend, which for whatever reason they have struggled mightily against the awful Texas Rangers this year.
Yep.
So anything could happen, but I don't know. It's just tough. I would say that you've got about a 90% chance of Oakland getting in. And then after that, it's either Kansas City or the Mariners.
Yep.
Here's the big question. We obviously want to see...
Or Detroit. Please no.
You're like, no, they're not. That's not even part
I didn't even include that.
That's not even part of the question.
They're locked in.
I mean, wouldn't you really love to see Oakland against Seattle here just to see Lester versus Felix?
Yeah.
That would be one of the best 1-game playoffs you could possibly see.
Absolutely. That would be fantastic. I would love that.
Can we just? I know that baseball is kind of scripted with some of these stories, so let's just happen.
Yeah, let's just.
Teams. Oops, sorry.
Let's just go all Black Sox on this whole thing. We'll fix it and we'll move on.
I think it's awesome that right now we're looking at either Seattle or Kansas City definitely being in.
Seattle's
that's pretty cool.
Kansas City will always be a feel-good story just for how atrocious in general they are, and they spend $5 on the team.
They haven't been in the playoffs in
67 years.
No, not since the 80s when they won the World Series. I can't remember what year it was.
88, 89,
something like that. It's been over 20 years.
Yeah.
It's been like 20, almost 30 years. So for them to make the playoffs would be enormous, and I think that entire city would just go nuts.
All right, I know you wanted to talk about the NL wild card race, right?
Yeah,
Central.
absolutely.
The Central / wild card race.
Yep. I was completely wrong about the Cincinnati Reds. They stink. They're terrible.
Hold on. What was the thing you originally
said?
This is
what I said. I said that Cincinnati would win the division.
Okay.
That St. Louis would make the wild card.
All right.
Then, once the playoffs began, St. Louis would find their stride, and they would make it to the World Series, regardless of whether or not they won the division. But it looks like they're going to win.
And I had St. Louis winning the division.
Okay, so you're accidentally going to back into, if St. Louis makes it deep in the playoffs, back into that prediction.
It's not backing into it.
Even though Cincinnati did not make the playoffs.
It's not backing into it. It's just, thrusting headlong right into, amazing predictions. But
Okay. So we're just remember how we preach accountability on this show, where we talk about our failures as well. You're like, nope, no.
listen,
no.
St. Louis, my feeling was always that they were a playoff team. They've always built their roster around being a playoff team.
Yeah, for pitching.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that they are in a great position right now. They're in the driver's seat. As far as Pittsburgh goes, not surprised that they're still hanging around. Andrew McCutchen still deserves to be in the discussion for the MVP, especially because he plays every single day, although he hasn't been in. But, I mean, this is a tight one. I'm not surprised it's tight. This was a tight race earlier in the year.
I would say you could potentially see these two teams playing later in the playoffs.
But how about the Brewers? They just dropped right out of it, huh?
the who?
Yeah.
There's going to be a good group of teams in the West looking for the World Series.
Absolutely.
I'm sure we're going to continue to talk about the baseballs now that the playoffs is almost upon us. All right, coming back from break, it's time to talk waiver wire for Week 3, and you're listening to the Star Fantasy League Show on 105.5 The Team.
Play fantasy sports for cash prizes. Join the top daily and weekly fantasy leagues in the country at starfantasyleagues.com. Now, back to the Star Fantasy League Show with Jonathan, Zach, and Nick, only on The Team.
That is correct. It is back on the Star Fantasy League Show with Jonathan, Zach, and Nick. The band's back together.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like somehow we're always together for waiver wire.
Nick's going to need to make some waiver wire pickups this week.
All right.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Before we
That's
get
great.
into the Week 3 waiver, hold on. Do you call it the Week 3 waiver wire or like for the
Week 4.
next week? Okay.
I call it week 4.
Week 4.
That makes sense.
I mean, we are in
week 4.
We're
are
technically
in week 4.
week
We're working
4.
in week 4 here, yeah.
Okay. For some reason, I always went with I don't know. I don't know why. So week 4 waiver wire. Do you want to get to your little quarrel here? Your little issue you got going on in
I
your
don't think
league?
this is something that we need to have over the air, but I guess we will. There was we made a trade, and I thought it was a great trade.
It was a good trade. It was a fair trade.
The only reason I bring it up is because it'll actually play into real life situations on the waiver wire.
So I have Jordan Cameron on my team who has been absent.
Real life situations in
real
fantasy football.
Exactly. And I had Greg Olson as well. And Zach needed a tight end. I needed a running back. So we made a trade, Greg Olson and Golden Tate for Joique Bell and Kyle Rudolph. Kyle Rudolph got injured this week, and he's out for at least 6 weeks apparently. So since Jordan Cameron is now on a bye this week, I'm pretty much out of luck.
Out of options?
I'm out of luck.
All right,
so I need to pick up a tight end. Everybody can hear it here first.
I would say doesn't that lead into a lot of people are going to have situations where either they had Kyle Rudolph or they had Dennis Pitta or they had another.
I had Pitta on another team too.
Or they had another tight end that's just not performing because let's be honest, or you know what, you had Jordan Reed. You just see that he's basically out for 2 weeks. So what are we doing there? We're doing nothing.
Yeah, well, I mean, there are some options out there. Some of them I think you need to weigh whether or not they're going to be short-term or long-term, but yeah, there's still some choices out there.
All right, so we're basically going to start there. Usually I'd start with the quarterbacks because they're the bread and butter of your league, but you brought up a tight end situation, so let's start there. I think the number one guy, if you have a brain and you watch football, is Larry Donnell. Sorry.
If he's still out, I mean, like so many of these guys, Niles Paul, Donnell, a lot of these guys aren't out there anymore available on the waiver wire, but if they are, they're great pickups.
Yeah, Niles Paul, I'm just curious as to whether or not he has an opportunity to win that job because Jordan Reed, I know he's supposed to be the starter, but Niles Paul has been dominant in his last 2 games.
Well, the good thing is he might not have to win the starting job because we've already seen Jordan Reed out for Week 4, potentially out for Week 5 as well. So
and could they end up running some 2 tight end sets when he gets back? Will he still be involved enough to be productive? Because for right now, he's been very productive.
Yeah, will Kirk Cousins basically kind of push him and be like, well, this is my guy. Like if he's in 2 tight end sets and he keeps throwing to Niles Paul.
Certainly appears that a lot of things are up in the air in Washington right now.
And that offense is looking good, too. With Kirk Cousins behind center, that's a pretty good offense right now.
Let's not overreact. Remember, the Eagles are not very good on defense. They have the Giants on Thursday night. These are great games. Make sure that they're in your lineups, but also be a little wary as they go down the line. They have a couple of hard matchups after that.
That is true, but it is that division. They're going to see those teams again,
Absolutely.
and that's at least 5 more situations where you get to play in that division.
Yep.
So
if they can keep this up, they have a chance to be relevant pretty quickly.
Definitely.
They've really. Philadelphia is a tough team to play against any week. They are so explosive. There's so much that you probably, if your defense isn't great, which the Redskins haven't been consistently.
Well, and they play so fast they piss their own players off. You see that Kerry Williams complaining about playing too hard?
Well, that was silly.
Yeah, that is silly. That's what I'm saying. That's how fast they play.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
And so if they can keep Kirk Cousins is bringing consistency to this team right now.
Yeah.
And that is huge for them if he's able to keep it up. I mean, he absolutely tore Jacksonville apart, which hasn't been really hard to do anyways.
That is true.
But this is probably the other team in the division that can be very relevant. I don't know about Dallas.
Yeah, didn't we say anything can happen in this division other than probably Philadelphia at the top? Anybody, the next 2 through 4 is basically up in the air.
Yep.
Sounds about right.
Philadelphia's got a chance to run away with it, though, which we haven't seen in this division in a long time.
Yeah, they could clinch before Week 17. That'll be the first time in like 5 years that's happened. Every single season it comes down to Week 17.
That's true.
It's
Not
ridiculous.
if Niles Paul has his say.
Niles Paul for president. All right, let's talk about the rest of the tight ends on the waiver wire currently. Obviously, Dennis Pitt is out. Owen Daniels interest you at all?
Yeah, a little bit. They said they're going to go with a committee, but Owen Daniels knows Gary Kubiak's system.
Yeah, he was just with him the past couple of years.
Yeah, if you can't get one of the top options like Donnell or Paul or somebody around it, I don't think it's a bad option. I think it's a pretty solid one. And we've seen what they like to do around the goal line. He had 2 touchdowns in one game. So
the best you're going to get out of Owen Daniels at this point in his career is Heath Miller numbers, which isn't bad if you don't have any other options on the table.
And probably more potential for touchdowns, though, because Heath Miller, for some reason, this season is not involved in the goal line at all.
Okay, well, maybe last year's Heath Miller numbers.
Okay, that's fine. I'm perfectly okay with that. I'm just complaining that Heath's not getting the ball. I love Heath Miller.
Heath is also older as well. So.
All right, last guy on the
Owen
list.
Daniels is 31.
Last guy on the list belongs to your Green Bay Packers, Andrew Corliss. Anything?
I can't say that I'm surprised that he emerged as the number 1 tight end in Green Bay. I think that it was a situation that we needed to watch because Richard Rodgers came out of OTAs and he was great. But it's clear that Corliss knows this offense better. He's definitely going to factor in more. Again, I think this is kind of a low upside option because he's not usually involved in the passing game that much. But I mean, if you don't have any other choice, it's not a bad ad.
If you're in, that's like super deep leagues, though, right?
Yeah, well, right now with the way that things are going with tight ends and their involvement in the offenses, if there's none of those big top guys left on there, you can just pretty much go week to week and look at matchups, and you can get something out of it.
Definitely.
That sounds about right. All right, let's talk about the big names. QBs. There's certainly quite a few of them that are going to be available and newly starting for their teams, hopefully. Teddy Bridgewater is definitely starting because Matt Castle broke his foot, so that's going to be moving forward as the quarterback.
I think you can do better than Teddy Bridgewater. I really do.
No.
I mean, as far as waiver wire
Hold on,
pickups,
it's talking head, Nick. You could do much better than Teddy Bridgewater.
I think you can do better on the waiver wire is what I'm saying. I think that Teddy Bridgewater is going to have quite a few growing pains. He's not really the kind of quarterback I think that fits into Norv Turner's system right now.
He's not a pocket passer.
Yeah, so and he's not going to take shots deep. He's not going to take as many chances as somebody like, that's 3 or 4 years into their career. So I think you can do better. I think there are some other options out there.
We're gonna get to him. Do I even need to mention Kirk Cousins at this point? If he's available,
yeah, if he's available and you don't have him, you don't.
If he's available and you have a pulse, even if you have 2 quarterbacks, pick him up so you can trade somebody.
Yeah, I've done something similar like that, like where I saw Ben Roethlisberger sitting on the waiver. If you see those guys sitting out there, scoop them up because somebody's being stupid and somebody's overlooking the fact that there's a great starting quarterback on the waiver wire.
Yeah, unless you have had a really bad few weeks and therefore you're at the top of the waiver wire list, even if he is out there, you're probably not getting him.
Yep.
Yeah, not going to happen. He should be the number 1 pickup if he's still available in your league, by far. Right?
Yeah, unless you have
two
two studs. Yeah.
But still,
no, I know. But you can't expect him to throw for 400 yards and 3 touchdowns every week because he's going to face some tougher defenses.
That's true.
So you shouldn't be picking him up over Matt Stafford, something stupid like that.
Okay, but realistically, he's the best guy on the waiver that has potential to be a top 10 quarterback.
Sure.
Right?
Sure.
Yeah, okay. All right, the other 2 guys, again, these are some injury and benching concerns. Mike Glennon's going to play now. I actually kind of liked him last year. He was on one of my deeper, I think in a 12-team league I had him.
I think we were all kind of surprised when Lovie Smith came in and
they completely gave up on him.
Yeah, they completely gave up on Glennon and just said, Josh McCown's our guy. Why is everybody surprised that he's going to be given a shot here? I mean, I know Josh McCown's injured, but why would people be surprised if Glennon won this?
Glennon looked
They
decent
paid McCown to be a starting quarterback.
At 36 years old.
I know, but with what he did last year, I think I think there were a lot of analysts, a lot of people out there that thought that he was going to do a better job than Mike Glennon. The fantasy production out of Vincent Jackson and whatever the
Mike Evans.
Yeah, Mike Evans.
Whatever his name is. Yep, that sounds about right.
That's how irrelevant.
They've been absolutely terrible because they're not getting any looks. They're just their offense is completely in shambles right now. They can't go anywhere from up, and Mike Glennon proved that he can put together a couple strong games and go to his big targets.
Yeah, well, that's an understatement. His big targets, I think they're all 6'3" and up. They have Evans, Jackson, and Safarian Jenkins, who I believe is 6'5".
What are you, a white supremacist?
Really, we're gonna bring up league jokes in the middle of this show.
Come on, that was funny.
Tampa Bay is terrible.
Yeah,
So you might as well throw him in there.
I mean, if you like looking for teams that play from behind, Tampa Bay is certainly the best choice for that.
Definitely.
All right, then the last one, another team that plays from behind, and we don't even know if he's starting, Blake Bortles, who looked like a rookie quarterback in his first game.
Yeah, well, I mean, he had to throw the ball, and he certainly did. He got over 200 yards, but he also threw 2 interceptions.
Yep.
I think this is another one where you can do better on the waiver wire. Particularly Ryan Fitzpatrick. I can't believe you don't have him on there. You know he's 10th right now in quarterbacks?
Is he really?
10th in fantasy QBs.
No way!
Yeah!
Dude. The fact that he couldn't get it done against the Giants.
It doesn't matter if he wins or loses. He's getting fantasy points.
I guess that is
He's
true.
scoring fantasy points.
Yeah, but has he thrown to Andre Johnson?
What are these faces?
I've got my I told you so face on.
Has
he's good as I told you so.
Has he thrown to Andre Johnson yet this season? I haven't seen it.
That doesn't matter. He's getting the points.
All right. We need to move on. No more quarterback talk. We're moving on to running backs for this week because, again, injuries are taking it. They're just like destroying fantasy teams with running backs.
We didn't talk about Geno Smith yet. What?
That's because I said players you want to pick up, not dump off at a local dump.
Players that throw for 300 yards.
Oh, my God. I can't deal with you. All right. The number one guy on my running back depth chart for this week, it's got to still be Donald Brown, especially with Danny Woodhead going down the tubes.
Yeah. 31 carries for 62 yards was one of the most ridiculous things I've ever seen. But he had 5 catches for 27 yards. He's going to be the focal point of this offense because there is nobody out there anymore.
Yep.
Purely based on volume. I think he's an immediate RB2 across the board.
That's what I'm saying, because if he's still available, and especially in daily leagues too, or excuse me, weekly leagues like starfantasyleagues.com, at 3,000 or 3,600, whatever he was at, I plugged him in.
RB1 on this bye week in PPR, I think, for sure.
Yeah, he's gonna get chances in the run and pass. We know he can catch the ball. Andrew Luck loved him last year in the passing game. Yeah, why couldn't he be a big factor? 5 catches is monster.
I think he could have a huge game this week, and is definitely somebody you want to essentially automatically put in your lineup in daily games.
That San Diego front office is looking very wise right now.
Depth.
Very wise.
Yeah, remember we were kind of making fun of them for having. Yep. Oh, you basically have a number 2 option as your number 3 option.
Yep. Very smart.
Yeah, not too bad. All right, so you looked at me funny when I said Donald Brown's my number 1. Who was your number 1 running back?
Lorenzo.
Lorenzo, hold on. Taliaferro.
I'm not looking at Lorenzo at all because I picked him up in like 80% of my leagues 2 weeks ago.
Oh, good for you. You're just the greatest.
Okay.
You should start a fantasy sports company because you're that good.
What was it? A Thursday night game a couple of weeks ago? I can't remember.
Pittsburgh, Baltimore. Yeah. Of course. Thanks for rubbing that one.
I was like, let me tell you who I'm picking up, even though he didn't do well in that game. But he has arrived. He played well. He's an exciting rookie. He was exciting to watch this week.
Hold on, wait for it. Can you give me a from? Can you give me a from in Chris Berman voice? From Coastal Carolina. Come on, from Coastal Carolina.
Well, I didn't know. I just did the from because
I know that's what he does.
I know where he's from.
Okay, I think a couple weeks ago might have been a little early for him because they just didn't realize that he has starting talent.
Why would it be too early if he's starting now and nobody else can get him?
I don't think he is starting.
Why would it be too early?
He's not starting.
I don't know if he's starting.
He'll get the most carries this week again. You watch.
Might happen. All right, come back to the break. We are continuing with the Week 4 waiver wire talk and wrapping up the show. And you're listening to the Star Fantasy League show on 105.5 The Team.
You're listening to the Star Fantasy League Show. Contact the StarFantasyLeagues.com guys via Twitter at SFL Show.
We are back, and before the break, something happened with some waiver wire talk, and we discussed and hashed something out, but we're not done.
I don't know how I throw my support behind a guy, and then somehow Zach figures out a way to turn it around and make it sound like I hate him.
You just got mind warped.
I was so excited to see the production this week because I was like, oh, he's just waiting in the wings on my bench.
Oh, yeah, I knew this was going to happen. Yeah, I'm Zach.
Oh, by the way, next week or 2, Bishop Sankey breakout.
Calling it right now.
Calling it.
But
Calling
how
it
many
right now.
people that drafted him in the 5th round have gone, nah, I don't want him anymore, just like throwing him away?
Oh, that would be
hey, we
so
told you
awesome
not
to
to do
find
it.
him on the waiver wire, but no.
Actually, I think you can.
Really?
Really?
Yeah, I've seen a couple of people drop him.
All right, hold on.
my
Waiver
goodness.
wire pickup in the next 2 weeks. Bishop Sankey,
Yeah,
probably.
I'm not sure why.
Did you see they said his footwork is garbage, and that's why he's not getting that much production?
He's a rookie.
Yeah, but footwork? That's a little weird of a comment.
He's a rookie that's averaging 4.9 yards per carry.
This is true. All right, let's continue to talk about running backs, though. Who do you have listed? Because I know you wanted
I
to
have a
mention
sneaky
somebody.
pickup, and I think this is one at least worth watching, is Darren Reeves out of Carolina. Because there's nobody to run the ball in Carolina.
Well, to be fair, to go into the season, there was nobody to run the ball for Carolina either, but they just kept throwing dead bodies out there and seeing what happened.
D'Angelo Williams should be back and ready for this week, okay? So that's all good and well. But I think that he's actually going to factor in because they don't have anybody else to do that. So he's at least either worth looking at, keeping an eye on, or you can pick him up if you have a really deep team as it is and just hope that you hit the jackpot on that one.
You know what else is worth taking a look at this week? There's a bonus code on StarFantasyLeagues.com. It's called Free14, FREE14. It gets you a 100% deposit bonus to $2,000 and an $11 credit in your account. And we have over $15,000 in guaranteed prize pools. I believe that went up from last week.
Isn't that the biggest ever?
Yeah, I believe it is. So $15,000 worth of guaranteed prize pools for just Sunday contests. So enter one day. You don't have to worry about Doug Martin ruining your week. That's pretty nice.
Novel over there?
Yep,
Huh?
working on that little novel. Yep, gonna happen. Nope. All right, so who is Darren Reeves?
Darren Reeves.
Oh my God! Look at
I'm
you
not
with these,
guaranteeing anything, okay, because nobody's even seen him
No
run.
accountability
But
whatsoever.
This is one of those
what
situations.
you put under a speculative
yes,
ad.
yes, speculative ad.
All right,
yes,
what?
Sure.
Hold on. How about this ad? Alfred Blue. Apparently, Aaron Foster came out and said he's been dealing with a hamstring issue all season and just decided to take a game off.
Are you
Yeah, what he said,
surprised?
2 months. No, I'm
Yeah,
not
are you
surprised
surprised
at all.
I'm surprised at
No.
the fact that he's playing through what he claims is a hamstring. That's even more impressive.
Same
to me.
hamstring issue that he had.
But he's
his
looked-
whole
The ticking
career.
time bomb has gone off.
But he's
again.
looked
literally
really.
going
He's
off.
looked really good this season. That's the thing. He's
Yeah,
played well.
Yeah, and he's also gotten more snaps than God is allowed.
Yeah.
So, not surprised.
Clearly, Alfred Blue has to be an option.
The best thing you could do for
Yeah.
a guy that has a history of injuries is overwork him as much as possible in the
Totally.
first 2 weeks of the season.
Absolutely. It's
So
a
you're
great
saying,
way to go.
so you're saying when Jamal Charles comes back from his injury, Andy Reid should run him 45 times a game until he just breaks down.
Especially when you can lean on the 10th fantasy quarterback. You've got it made.
The guy with the creepy beard, that guy.
No, the guy
The
with
leprechaun.
the guy with a degree from Harvard University.
He's a
That guy.
leprechaun.
He does look. He looks horrifying. He looks like he went to Houston and just said, "Nah, I'm not shaving until we win," and then they didn't. He was pretty bad.
Yeah, well. We didn't even
pretty
talk
bad.
about any wide receivers. Are there any out there?
We still have time on the show. Wow, you were just like doing whatever you wanted.
Did I bury the lead there?
No, I was
Did
going
you
to
know
move on to
Ryan
wide.
Fitzpatrick actually got his start as the guy in that Coors Light commercial hitting the ice on the mountain
No.
and grabbing the beers for everybody?
All right, quickly, let's talk about some wide receivers you can pick up on the waiver wire because it's the deepest position in the entire league right now.
Alan Hearns or Allen Robinson, either one of them. I
have
like
that
Hearns
exact
more.
thing. I have the exact thing.
Hearns more, but I don't know. Either one of them.
I managed to
Jordan
start.
Matthews?
Yep.
Eh.
Yeah, I'm not
Flash in the
convinced
pan.
yet.
Jordan Matthews, who is a keeper league darling. Pick him up if he's available in
Oh,
one of
yeah,
your
that's
keeper
true.
leagues.
Absolutely, that's for sure.
Yeah, we don't really talk that much about keeper leagues here, but that is certainly something I was.
And
I
what
was not
about
thinking
Malcolm Floyd?
Let's
No?
not talk about Malcolm Floyd.
Against Jacksonville this week.
We're not talking about Malcolm
catches.
Floyd. We are talking about StarFantasyLeagues.com. Use the bonus code FREE14 for a 100% deposit bonus all the way up to $2,000, and you get an $11 credit into your account. 15,000 guaranteed prize pools. What's better than that?
Nothing.
Geno Smith.
And if you're not playing Week 4 daily fantasy football at StarFantasyLeagues.com, you're just not doing fantasy right. Take it easy,
Bishop
guys.
Stanky.